In this video from We Are Racing. Always remember to disconnect the battery before you start this job, because you're working with lots of electronics over here and potentially could cause a small... Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So for today's video, you guys remember this car, affectionately known as, well no, her proper name is Beatrice, but the nickname is Black Betty. So affectionately known as Black Betty. You guys remember Francois?
Are they?
You remember Brendan?
Today.
Brendan has schoolwork to do. Any case, today what we're going to do is a full service of almost everything except for brakes. Did you get brakes? No brakes. So almost everything that you can service on this car aside from brakes. So that's the plan for today. This is going to include spark plug change as well, which happens roughly every 100,000 k's on these cars. And I'm pretty sure this one was never changed. So let's go. Okay, let's get stuck right into it. First thing we're going to do is swap the spark plugs. I'll work on this side of the car, Francois will work on the other side of the car in the interest of expedience. And the first job we're going to do, although it's not technically 100% necessary, we're going to take off the strut brace. It's just easier to do it without that thing in place because it does get in the way. So we're going to remove that. This cover splits in two, so you can get this cover off and out without taking off the strut. But to get to the spark plugs, especially on a car that's warm, that's just been driven like this one, just quicker to do it this way.
Greg, one comment. On YouTube I saw a video of somebody else struggling really long to get this off.
Yeah.
If you carefully look at the bottom, there's a little pin. You just pull it down and then it slides off. So that literally just, with your little finger, you press it down and then it comes out.
Don't say we don't teach you shit. Look at that. Thank you. This makes life easy. Francois, did you disconnect the wiring loom from the? There are two little clips on the.
Yeah, I must still take
Yes.
the one out, long nose. And then we quickly need to disconnect the battery as well.
Oh crap! Yeah, we forgot that. Eh?
No, we didn't. We're just getting there.
Always remember to disconnect the battery before you start this job, because you're working with lots of electronics over here and potentially could cause a small problem. Electronics on these cars and most modern cars, very sensitive. Okay, so this little wire here that I hope you can see, there's just a little plastic clip. I got it with long nose pliers on the far side, and it just pops out away from the strut brace so that it's out the way. Don't know how I ever worked on cars without this thing. So a few 10mm nuts. This completely takes off the top cover of the motor over here, and it's 100% for aesthetical value. There's no real purpose to it other than making the engine bay look nice. After you get to that, the next thing you want to do is disconnect the piping over here so that we can take the throttle bodies off. You're also going to have to get this little box out of the way, just because it's in the way of getting to the plugs. These are 10mm bolts, and on the throttle body over here, 6mm Allen bolts. We also disconnected the airflow sensors over here, just so that they're out the way, and then the pipe comes off as a unit, exposing the throttle body over there, and we're going to loosen that with a 6mm Allen as I explained.
There we go. Another one. Oh, thank you.
We're taking the airboxes off completely.
Well, I don't know. Do we want to? Perhaps it's a good idea to clean it inside.
If you want to.
This car has, yeah, it's 2 screws, 2 bolts.
Yeah.
This car has done, apparently, if you drive a VW,
Huh?
you have to wear gloves, otherwise you can't work on the car.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I saw it on YouTube. Somebody did a ABT conversion, and I kind of quite a lot.
Did we check the time when we started? Let's call it 11:40.
What do you think? 11:40 is probably good.
Okay, so about 11:40 when we started, we just want to see how long it takes us to do this complete service.
We have 2 not mechanics working on it.
Yes. 2 wannabes. At the back of the throttle body, there's also a little plug that unclips exactly the same way that Francois explained. Just press and remove. It doesn't appear that you actually need to take off that piece of wire for the throttle body, because we're not going to disconnect the throttle body, we're just going to set it aside.
Okay, so not sure if you can see at the bottom of the airbox, there's 2 little things that go into rubbers there at the bottom, so you can literally just pull it up after you loosen the one.
4 Allen bolts to remove throttle body. You should be able to see this. That exposes 3 coil packs on this side. Just this one little pipe that's in the waystle, which just basically pulls off the same way as what we did with all the other pipes. The little plugs from the coil packs
Don't break it.
also has just a little push clip that releases the plug and it pulls off very easily. If you battle with these things, there's something wrong. Rather push it in before you try to take it out again. No violence required, because if you break them, you've got new problems.
Violence. Interesting word choice, man. This is Africa.
Indeed. 3 10mm bolts releases 3 coil packs, which will give you access to the spark plugs.
Okay, and this is where the man with the small hands come in. Yeah.
What is it?
That one.
That one at that.
Yeah.
So this took a lot of doing. It's a 14mm tube socket, but let me go fetch a normal 14mm tube socket and show you the problem. The problem comes in with the wall thickness of the 14 tube socket, and it's not very obvious in the shot that I'm showing you just now. This one does not fit down there. You need this special tool with the thin wall to be able to get down there to take out these spark plugs. This is the only really special tool that you need, and this is true for both the HR and the VHR, which is the 370Z motor. So 350 HR and 370 motors. You need this guy if you want to change spark plugs. And they're in there quite far. You will need the longer extension. My normal 14 tube socket works.
So special tool, not so much.
I put this job off for months and months because I couldn't find this particular socket, and it doesn't work. My normal tube socket does. Beautiful. You find them?
Yes.
Now those, so funny story, those are specific to Mercedes.
Yes, those are Mercedes tools.
So one of the bolts that hold the one coil on the other side uses this type of torx, which is called the
E-torx.
E-torx. And it's the E10. Yes, it's the E10.
Top tip. So your plug is stuck in the bottom over there, you want to get it out. A lot of people will say, long nose pliers, use the coil pack, pick it up. Huh. Well, they're clearly not new, but they're not exactly old.
Okay, so just coming back there, this was on actually coil number 1, and this one's on number, how do we count? 1, 2, 3? Yeah, the Nissans. So this was on 2 and 3. So one had this one, and it looks like a, well, we'll see now when we remove it. Okay, we won't go into engine cleaning now, but there's really good YouTube videos. I think Graham, we must do one day.
So to be fair, these plugs are not all that worn. I didn't know whether they were changed previously on this car, and I suspect they were, because they're definitely not worn or old. We've got the new ones, so it's, how does Chris Fix say? Out with the old and in with the new.
Okay, Graham, so what's the proper procedure on Nissans when tightening spark plugs?
Same as what I said previously.
Oh, okay, so you did tell them.
You and this time I can show you. See, the little washer there is quite fat, and the old one not so much. All right, so put the spark plug in until it's finger tight, and then just tighten it enough to take up the slack inside this washer. There's no reason to torque down a spark plug or to over tighten it. If you break a spark plug inside the block, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Not fun.
Not fun. It's not fun.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's in there finger tight. It's not taking up the slack yet. It's obviously just at the bottom of the thread. Okay, there. And from this point, I just grab it with my fingers like this. That's enough. If you can actually keep these spark plugs, they are not worn by any measure of the imagination.
Okay. You finished on that side?
I am. I sent you the
voorkant, né? Nee, daai is vas.
Okay.
Kom klaar los.
titanium spark plugs.
Titanium spoorkant.
Reassembly is the reverse of what we did earlier.
Graham, I know it's good practice to always leave the spark plugs and the coils and put them in the same order back. Is there any reason why we always do that? I know when we do fault finding, we try to swap it around and so on.
I've just always been told that it's good practice to put something back where you took it off. It's one of those things, my mom used to do it like this, so I do it like that. So do you have a better explanation, Francois?
No? Not asking.
Just, yeah.
Weird questions.
When you
Things
take
that keep
something-
the things that keep us awake at night.
Indeed.
The inquisitive mind.
I was just always told, if you take a bolt out in a specific place, it goes back in the same place. No specific reason. My dad used to do it. I definitely chose the easy side. This is more difficult. There's more stuff in the way. Okay, again,
Plugs, 70.
again we go finger tight on the bolts here on the coil packs, and we'll get the torque spec for them just now. Okay, so the torque spec, Google is your friend, for the nuts on the coil packs, 24.5 Newton meters or 2.5 kilogram per meter or 18 foot-pounds. So not excessively tight. 24.5 Newton meters is what we work with because we speak the Queen's English in South Africa.
Okay, some OCD popping in through here. Very dirty. So I'm going to clean everything before we put it back, except for these. They are really clean.
And what is that?
This is the air mass flow sensor.
Mass airflow sensor.
Yeah. Air mass
Math.
flow. Yeah.
Math.
Math.
Mass airflow.
Yeah, mass airflow sensor, MAF. Yeah, as opposed to MAP, which is manifold absolute pressure.
Yeah, sorry. I constantly keep switching the two.
And so why does the Lotus have the other one?
Manifold
Because the
absolute
old motor, I don't know.
No. So on the Lotus we have 4 throttle bodies, each exposed to the outside
Open area.
air. So if you put 4 air mass flow sensors in there, or to measure it you'll need 4. But if you use the absolute pressure it gives you a good enough indication.
A fair indication.
Yeah, fair. It's not perfect, but it's a good one.
We also bought some, and you guys know we're fans of Motul at this garage. So we bought some intake cleaner, and very happy for doing so because we need to clean that.
Few pukes later.
A few pukes later.
Okay, so this stuff you just spray on there and get as much dirt off as you possibly can. I'm just going to stick a rag below it to catch excess. Can you see that? The dirt running off the thing.
There's at least 5 kilowatts there.
At least. A nice way to clean stuff is just take a normal brush like this and cut the bristles shorter. And that gives you a bit of a rougher type of brush just to agitate dirt. What a difference. Remember not to try and open this thing or turn the butterfly. There's lots of electronics inside here and you do not want to mess with that. So just only spray, very lightly wipe, no heavy, what's the word you used earlier, Francois? Violence, no violence.
You used it.
Oh, I used it. In fact, I'll take a picture of the other one quickly so I can do a before and after picture of what they used to look like and what they look like now. You see how quick and simple that was. Alright, so with that done, I think I can reassemble the throttle body. Remember to inspect the little rubber here so that it's not cracked or dry or brittle or anything like that. This guy looks okay and we didn't get new ones. Do you think I should spray that out?
Do make sure that you put all the electric plugs back in their spots before you start assembling, and just to make sure. You'll also see that with every step that we take. So when we're done eventually now with the spark plugs, which included a complete service of the air intake system also, and that's why it's taking so long. We're up to an hour already. We start the car after every step just to be sure that we didn't forget something, break something, unless otherwise what happens is you go down the line and you get to the end of your job and the car doesn't want to start. Which ones of the things was it that you did today that causes the problem? So it's just better with every step to check that the car still starts and that things work as they're supposed to.
The day when your car didn't want to start. And
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that wire that was loose.
Yeah, it's getting loose again. Can I get that?
11.
Not a 10.
11.
For the oil change, we don't care, so we can tighten this one properly. Okay. Everything she's breathing.
Right, so that sounds good. Do remember when you disconnect the battery from the car, you're going to lose all your settings, time and all that sort of stuff. Also, top tip, leave the window open. Because when you reconnect the battery, you might lock the car. It could happen. It's just a bit of a tip. And make sure maybe that you've got the key on you, maybe. So if you leave the car inside, the key inside the car like we just did, just leave the window open so in case something happens, you can still get to the key.
Getting the brace back in proved to be quite more difficult than what people make it out to be. We found that on each side of the brace there was one bolt that goes in at a bit of an awkward angle, and we resorted to a traditional ratchet and socket setup to be able to get that one in, and then we tied it down with the impact wrench and later with a torque wrench. Just keep this in mind if you are doing this job.
Double check.
Because I have friends, not pointing at anyone, who have OCD, changing spark plugs took us 1 hour and 40 minutes because we had to clean out the entire air system also. Next job, oil change. We mentioned previously that we are quite lazy in this garage. I made these little ramps so that when the car, or any car for that matter, is pulled out of the garage onto the ramps as this is now, the car is level with the floor inside the garage. Just a bit of forward planning. Francois is running around getting some bricks to stick behind the back wheels just for safety's sake. Always safety first. And then we're going to swap the oil on this guy. Top tip, before you remove the oil filter and start draining oil out of the car and stuff like that, check that the parts that was given to you match the parts that's on the car. So size, model number, etc., etc. Just safeguard yourself, because what you end up with is a car standing on these ramps, no oil in the motor, and you're not going to move it, because starting this car without oil, just throw it away. It's going to be useless, and you won't push it back into the garage quite easily with the weight of this thing. Check.
15208, check.
Check. Oil filter the same. Let's go. So we did the normal thing, pulled the dipstick out a little bit, loosened the oil cap on top so it doesn't suck a vacuum, and now we're going to undo the sump plug and drain the oil. Right, sump plug 8, oil drain, oil filter off. What oil did you buy, Francois?
Motul.
And where did you buy the oil, Francois?
Club 23 from Jock. Thank you very much, Jock.
Awesome sauce. And why do we buy Motul, Francois?
Because it works.
No, because we like Motul in this garage, Francois.
So as per good practice, I remove the full oil filter, lubricate it slightly. And then I need to put it back in there. I might need special tool number flathead spanner. Again, some people say you only need to lubricate the one side. My granddad taught me you need to lubricate both sides, and he was a wise man. And then I saw Graham did the same on his video. And if two wise people say it's like that, then who am I to differ?
So this is an example of a sump washer that's probably never been changed. It's so crushed in here that it's difficult to actually get it off. So you can see it's crushed into the thread of the bolt over there. So I'm going to have to get this off here, because we did get a new sump washer, as is good practice. I had to destroy this little washer to get it off here. And the torque setting for this guy, to put it back on, 34.3 Newton meters. And this is what the new one looks like. And it actually has a right way and a wrong way to go on there. So the flat bit here with the indent goes on the nut side, and the other side, don't know what even to call it, goes on the crusher side. So it ends up looking like that. So is the oil filter on?
Oil filters on. So why is there so many oil running on the floor?
So, no, there's no oil running on the floor.
Nothing.
Did you torque down the sump plug?
I did torque it down. 34.
Whatever we
Because
said.
I can't do 0.4, 0.5. Okay, so about half the oil is in. I don't see anything running.
No leaks?
No, it looks good.
Okay. As we say here in sunny South Africa, lekker. Francois is also, aside from being CDO, which is the same as OCD but in alphabetical order as it should be, probably one of my, I don't want to use the term lazier friends, because it's just really thinking ahead, and hence that very nice funnel that he's using there, so that he doesn't have to battle to get the oil back into the motor. Now we know that this motor takes about 4.8 liters of oil, so it will take the majority of the oil that's in that bottle, that 5 liter bottle over there, and we'll start checking towards the end of the bottle for oil level. Oh, you know what I never showed you the other day? Can I borrow the oil?
Yeah, it's about a liter left.
You've got 5, 4 halves, quarts, that looks like US quarts marked on the side of the bottle over here. So you'll see we've done about 4 liters of oil now, because we've got about 1 liter of oil, or just over 1 US quart left inside this bottle of here. So you can get a fair indication of what you've done in terms of oil fill. Very nicely done, people from Motul. Checking the oil as a precautionary. But what we want to do, and what you're going to see Francois do now, is start the car to just cycle the oil through everything. Make sure that all the channels are full, the oil filter is properly full, and so on. And then we can check the oil level again and actually fill up the system.
Take about another point. Or
Probably
half
another
liter in South Africa.
half a liter or 1 pint.
Never overfull.
Now, underfilling your car is as dangerous as overfilling the car. So when you get to this stage where you're so close, caution is the name of the game.
So it's just above that one, so we'll leave it for now. Check in an hour or so.
Okay, it's time for a time check, and we're sitting at 10 minutes to 2. That's basically 2 hours.
Basically 2 hours.
2 hours with OCD included. Job done. As
Thank you,
easy
Greg.
as that. Oh, look at this. And we're just in time. Brendan, you legend. At this stage, you guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. Tell everybody about our channel, the most awesome channel on YouTube at the moment, where we give you top tips on how to work on very fancy cars like this with very OCD friends like that. And always remember that life is too short to drive boring cars.